Okay guys, so this one I'm actually going to take credit for as my own invention. We're going to call it the Atg Preacher Curl. A lot of the same benefits for the elbow that the Atg split squat made famous by knees over toes guy has for the knee. Now with this can be done on your traditional preacher bench at a gym, or say in my case, I have the preacher pad that was sent to me after utilizing it on Mark Bell's channel. This is one of the best products I've ever had, in a sense that it's going to give you the same angle and the same benefit that an actual preacher bench would. Much less expensive, more comfortable. You can adjust it to any given height, and obviously with how light it is, you can transport it anywhere you want to take it. So honestly, I love little products like this because you take a machine, which I don't know, off the top of my head, costs several $100s at least. Replace it with something like this, you get the same benefit and supporting a great brand as well. Definitely would get one if you guys are interested. I'll put their information in the description box. So the Atg Preacher Curl, what it's gonna look like is just a full range of motion, single arm preacher curl, which is true, but we're trying to find a way to not only maximize range of motion, but to keep the majority of the weight solely on the bicep head and then the tendons that are surrounding the elbow here. So we can not only build true bicep strength without letting our shoulder or our lat compensate, but we can also build tendon strength in this long range position. A lot of times you might see me on my Instagram refer this to as a armbar defense curl, due to the fact that in jiu-jitsu, if I'm getting armbarred, the person's trying to take my arm and break through my elbow with it fully lengthened this way. And so intuitively, if I build the strength to be able to curl out of that, not that you should, but that's why I call it an armbar defense, just kind of for fun. But at the same time, let's say I do get armbarred, somebody rips my arm this way, I might still tap, but now my bicep and my tendons are much more conditioned to carry such load or such stress because I've been training this thousands and thousands of times. So for jiu-jitsu athletes, this is very important. That's why I recommend doing this in your training almost religiously. So for this movement, traditional preacher curl, for one, you see a lot of people do this. I'm guilty of it. I got up to hundreds doing this. Put yourself on the preacher bench here. We're going down about right here and then up, like half range of motion. You can get up real heavy. It looks cool for Instagram. You know, you can argue time under tension, all that bullshit. Well, we're taking all that out the window here, lessening the weight. For myself specifically, I built up to 70s with these, but I started at 15 pounds. Sets of like 10 to 15 reps just to get my body used to the exercise and then build strength out of that position over time. Outside of going all the way down, as we talked about in other curl videos, I'm flexing my tricep to fully put my elbow at near hyperextension here, which sounds dangerous, but again, there's no dangerous range of motion, there's no dangerous position. There's only positions and ranges of motion that our body isn't capable or strong enough yet to bear load in. So if I take literally my arm and just do this 20 times a day, eventually this is gonna feel much more comfortable. Then I add 5 pounds, then 10 pounds, then 15 pounds. So I build up to 70s, and I'm able to do this with my arm hyperextended, and I'm able to curl myself out of this and have nothing to show for it except for good bicep strength and really healthy elbows. So keep up with me on this. So outside of this, I'm going to be turning my chest out, and one step past that, I'm going to be looking behind me here. So on a preacher bench, I'm generally taking my free hand, supporting it on the outside of it here to push myself away and hold myself at this angle. I'm going to be opening up my palm here this way, as I said, going all the way down to the bottom, flexing my tricep. You're going to feel a very deep stretch along here and even a little bit right here. Again, remember, this is why we're prioritizing load management and starting very, very light from the get-go. Bracing, out, full range of motion, and I'm looking behind me here, just like this, so that the entire time it's my bicep working, as opposed to a lot of times, if we're square with this, I'm also guilty, we come here and it starts to get hard, so then our shoulder gets into play here, my pec squeezes, my rear delt pulls, my lat pulls to help me finish the rep, as I also lean back to help leverage that weight to the finish. If I set myself up this way, here looking behind, chest opened up to the outside, keeping my arm as far away from my body as possible, it's very hard for me to use any of those other muscles that are closely related to the bicep to assist, which is why this is one of my favorite bicep isolation exercises that you can do. So with that said, we're gonna have Irvin give it a shot. He's gonna start really light, like 10, 15 pounds, and then I'll do mine at 30 and show you guys exactly how it's done.
The ATG movements that I've done recently, this is probably the one that I've implemented on my own. I just really liked it. When we went to Los Angeles a couple months ago for Iron Wars, we literally drove in at 1 a.m. and Jimmy thought it was a great idea to just work out in the gym. And we did that, and we worked out till like 4 in the morning, and this is actually one of the movements that he taught me, so, and I've really liked it since.
Yeah, and so since then, the two details that I've added were keeping our chest opened up, and then past that, looking directly behind you. So looking like, try to look towards the mirror that way, good? Yep, and then at the bottom here, if we can twist our hand out slightly, just like so, he's flexing his tricep, stretch, stretch. So stress is here, stress is here. He's gonna squeeze his bicep to the top, and in result, much more of that weight stays on the bicep itself without letting his shoulder or his rear delt or his lat recruit for extra compensation. Good, and if we can, as you go down, let this come out this way just a little bit. As he increases shoulder mobility, this will be much easier to obtain. He's probably feeling some tightness right here, which is normal, but we're gonna try to keep it mostly on the bicep head, so the hand itself should be aligned, everything aligned here, as opposed to coming out here this way. If it comes out, it resembles a little bit more of a hammer curl, so his brachialis is gonna come into play. We're gonna tilt it out, try to keep everything in line here, and then he's gonna do his best to keep his chest open and look directly behind him. Much better. You feel a difference?
Yeah.
Good. What do you feel?
I feel way more isolation. Like I don't feel anything in like my my lat. I don't feel anything in like my delts or anything like that. I'm like isolating it as much as I humanly possibly can, which I've never really felt like I could do before without, you know, putting my ego aside completely. It feels really, really good, which is why I liked it so much and I started implementing it in my own arm days. But now this is like next level.
Yeah, exactly. Good, good. And stay strict with looking behind you. My theory, my general mindset with most isolation movements is, unlike your power movements like a squat or a deadlift or a bench, you want to try to find a way to have leverage work for you. When it comes to isolation movements, because of all the various muscles within the body, my goal is to actually find ways to work against leverage and make sure that only the muscle that we're targeting is the one that actually is under stress. So like I said, for this one, due to the fact that if he turns towards it, he's more contracted with his interior delt pec here. He's a little bit more rounded at the shoulder, so it's more likely that he's going to want to pull back to do that. I mean, if you take into account, like I said, when you come to the top of the curl, most people are tempted to lean back to help compensate. If you open up your chest here, you can't lean back to help you with this movement. You're opened up completely, so your chest isn't engaged, your shoulder's not really engaged, and you're not in a position where you can curl because your arm's going to physically run into the pad. So what we're doing here is making it as hard as possible, which then means that his weight, the literal weight, goes down. But we have to come to the realization that maybe outside of powerlifting, when we're talking numbers between a deadlift, squat, and bench, nobody really gives a fuck how much you curl, nobody gives a fuck how much you rear delt fly, nobody gives a fuck how much you row. The only thing I really give a shit about is how you're doing the movement, and is that rep that you're doing having more benefit than just the pump or the contraction you're feeling in the workout. Is there long-term benefits? Is your workout giving you more diminishing returns, or are you getting positive return on investment? And with the way we're training here, the goal is to not only enjoy the workout, obviously, feel like you got a good workout in, but have that workout carry through for years to come to where you're able to perform these movements and other physical activity for the rest of your life. I'm so fucking good.
What?
Preach!
That's good. That's shit. That's gangster.
And so this is where having better shoulder mobility allows me to get in a position that for this specific movement puts more stress on my bicep due to the fact that I'm able to turn my palm out better than your average person, keeping more of the weight on the bicep head because my forearm stays in line with the upper part of my arm. Also, shout out to Kevin Oak for sending me the barbell commission gear. I love this tank top. Then shout out to our friend Josh Morin, Vice President of Fuel Supplements. I'm wearing his farm sushi hat. He's starting a new line of grass-fed, high-quality beef and steak, in which I'm sure you'll see a lot more on the channel once that gets going. So make sure to stay tuned for updates there.